What can you do to offset the job cuts that will no doubt come as a result of AI efficiency?
One thing, very simple, bring more companies in, more jobs.
We are waiting any moment now to get the jobs numbers for the month of May. The expectations call for the ADP numbers to be up 95,000 for the month of June, rather. It's the June jobs data, and we'll, of course, right now seeing the number actually show a decline in jobs.
Oh, that's gotta hurt!
No amount of vulgar posts and official White House comments on alligator Alcatraz can distract us from this. Trump is tanking the economy.
Chair, would the Fed have cut more by now if it weren't for the tariffs?
So I think that's right. In effect, we went on hold when we saw the size of the tariffs and essentially all inflation forecasts for the United States went up materially as a consequence of the tariffs. So we didn't overreact. In fact, we didn't react at all. We're simply taking some time. As long as the U.S. economy is in solid shape, we think the prudent thing to do is to wait and learn more and see what those effects might be.
Trump, Fox, all the MAGAs have been out there talking about how Trump is going to add possibly 100,000 jobs to the economy, and that we shouldn't be so worried about adding the $4 trillion to the deficit that his awful bill does, because that doesn't account for these new jobs. And so the deficit won't be that bad. So just go ahead and vote anyway. Well, as it turns out, they voted for it just before the numbers came out. And instead of adding all those jobs, the economy lost 33,000 jobs. And we saw in real time what Fox does with facts they don't like. They distracted. She quickly changed the topic from what she thought was going to be great job numbers because basically Trump said so, and instead saw that it was this huge loss. I'm just only surprised she didn't try to change the subject to transgender sports. That seems to be their favorite go-to for distracting from all the bad news coming out of Trump's White House.
Trump would like to sign this right before the July 4th holiday to celebrate freedom and independence. John, we are 30 minutes away from the opening bell for a Wednesday in a holiday-shortened week. Your thoughts?
Well, our big surprise today had to be that ADP report on private sector employment. That was down by 33,000 jobs. The labor market is softening. It's flattening out. And that tells me that companies can go ahead and increase prices in response to higher tariffs, but I don't think that consumers are going to respond positively. They'll pull back on spending, so any increase by inflation because of tariffs will be quite limited. Ultimately, tariffs may do more to increase federal revenues, reduce the federal deficit, than to add to price inflation. And of course, all this adds up to lower than expected interest rates by the end of this year.
Yeah, great point. Markets have turned negative now 30 minutes before the open on the heels of that weaker than expected June ADP report. That's why President Trump keeps talking about growth, Ashley. John, you just mentioned, people will have to raise prices. Not in Mamdani's New York, Ashley. No. Not if the government is running the grocery stores.
So Trump has single-handedly destroyed the growing economy he was handed to. Let's hope this is the last time voters believe that somehow Republicans are better with our economy. Time and time again, the Democratic presidents come in and clean up the mess that was handed to them by Republican presidents. And then the Republican presidents go ahead and throw away what they just received. Now let's talk about all those jobs. All those jobs lost are people. There's people behind those jobs. And not only is it those 33,000 people now facing no jobs at the same time as we are hearing healthcare getting cut, food assistance getting cut. But the rest of us, are now more afraid of our jobs. And what happens when that happens is people start spending less money.
The mood on Main Street is getting darker and darker. These are historically weak numbers. So the University of Michigan came out this morning and said that consumer sentiment in the United States this month plunged by 11% to the second lowest level since records began back in the 1950s. That's pretty stunning when you think about it. This is lower, weaker sentiment than at any point during the Great Recession. The only time it was worse than right now was 3 years ago, back when Americans were panicking over $5 gas. Of course, today, gas prices are low. The problem is all of these chaotic moves out of Washington, the trade war, and of course, the turmoil on Washington. The internals of this report were ugly. Americans marked down their views on the current situation. They're becoming less optimistic about the future. They're increasingly concerned about unemployment. And this is a number that I think is going to get the attention of officials at the Federal Reserve. Consumers are now bracing for a nearly 7% increase in prices over the next 12 months.
We've already seen consumer sentiment around the economy going down. Consumer purchasing going down. The fact is, when you give a tax cut to the richest of the rich, it doesn't really do that much for the economy because the person can't really buy that much more. But when you have the middle class, the working class have more money, feel like they can spend the money they have because they're not worried about getting fired, that drives the economy. The whole trickle down economic theory from Reagan does not work. When he passed that in the 80s, he really shifted the disparity of the wealth in our country, and we are feeling the effects of it. Because instead of taxing the rich in a fair way and an equitable way, he gave tax cuts to the rich, saying that whatever they receive will trickle down. Well, it did not trickle down. They kept it. They put it in the stock market. They didn't spend it at the grocery store like somebody who has a tax cut, a typical American has a tax cut and will spend it, let's say at the grocery store or the retail shop. The richest of the richest billionaire. It doesn't work that way. And this is how we are creating the disparity of wealth that has happened from all those years of the trickle down economics. And so when you have a jobs report showing 33,000 jobs lost, it's not only the paychecks of those people that are no longer going into the economy, but it's everybody else who's worried if their jobs are next. Are they going to be planning a vacation? Are they going to buy a home? Are they going to invest in remodeling their house? Are they going to buy more school supplies for their kids? Or are they going to save their money because they are afraid of getting fired? And the less the middle class and the working class spends, the more our economy shrinks and more jobs are lost. And then, of course, you have the tariffs right around the corner. We still haven't even felt the effects of that because so many companies and industries bought in bulk in advance because they knew the prices were going to go up. And we haven't seen yet then all the effects of the tariffs, of the purchasing after the tariffs have been in place. So next time Fox on their news show might need even a bigger distraction to distract Americans from what they already feel. The fact is, it's really hard to tell people that the gas prices are so low as Trump does again and again when people can go to the gas themselves and see the prices at the pump. This, unfortunately, is affecting everyday Americans. Trump, Fox, want to continue to lie and distract. But this is Trump's economy, and we cannot let him and the rest of MAGA forget it.
Under the economic policies of Donald Trump and Republicans, America is now in decline. For the first time in 3 years, we have negative GDP growth. That means our economy actually shrank this year. It takes a special kind of stupid to take 12 consecutive quarters of positive economic growth and make it go negative. And we also know overall inflation has also increased. And Trump and Republicans want to make it worse. They want to pass the big, ugly bill that's going to cut off health care for over 16 million Americans, all in service of massive tax breaks to billionaires. Tell them to take their heads out of the sand and to stop harming the American people. Trump and Republicans should be working for you, not for billions.
The truth is more important than ever. Check out our new Truth Over Lies collection at store.MeidasTouch.com. All 100% USA union made.